what it do, everybody? Is the Gravy Master, man. Supplying gravy to the community in the tri-state area. No Doofenshmirtz, you know what it is. But in this video, we're going to be doing the ball fade, man. And in this video, I'm going to explain everything the best way I can so that, you know, anybody who's lacking with blending or just needs a different perspective on it, man, I got your back. I got you. So right now, you see me combing out the hair. I'm just trying to get everything where I need it because he does have coarse hair. So with coarse hair, you want to comb the hair thoroughly. So now you're going to see me comb it and then show you a line. But that's kind of where I'm going to gauge where I'm going to set the fade line. So put the comb right there. Then I swipe across just to show y'all, you know, it's not all the way even where I'm going to do it. But, you know, just to give y'all a visual where I'm doing it. Comb it a little bit more and then we're going to get straight into it. So now I'm going to be using my magic clip, my wireless magic clips to set the first guideline. But you can set it with the trimmers if you want to, but a hard line in is a hard line out. That rule always applies. So this is just an easier way of you doing it to make it easier to get out. You don't want to give yourself too much work. And if you are at that skill level to do so, go ahead, be my guest. But this is just a technique that will help, you know, beginners, midway barbers, or barbers that just need a little bit more help on, you know, how to start their fade to make it, you know, a little bit more efficient for them to get the line out. Because I see so many people struggle with getting that line out. So you can just set it in with the clipper all the way closed and, you know, just set it across from the beginning of the vertical bar. Because we're doing a regular ball fade. So it's not like a low fade or a high and tight. It's just a regular fade. So as you can see, the line is straight. You want to make your guideline as straight as possible, in my opinion, just so you don't have to finagle the line at all and you know where you're going. It's better to be more precise with every line that you make, whether it be the shape up, you know, the guideline, just to give yourself less work and so you won't get lost. Now I'm going to come in with my Protege trimmers. They are 0 gap. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to bald it out. Now I'm going to go right underneath of that line right there and start balding it out. But I'm not going to go to the line. I'm going to go maybe a centimeter below the line just so I can give myself some room for error. Or, you know, so when y'all doing it, y'all can give yourself room for error. Because the technique that I'm showing y'all is, in my opinion, the way that you should do it if you're still learning, to give yourself room to improve or adjust anything that you might need. If you put it, you know, directly in there and you mess up, it's over. But if you give yourself a little bit of room to play around, then you can always save your fade. That's how I look at it, at least. So now I'm going to trim off all the excess hair and we're going to start to get into the blending of it. But the way that I did it was just for the sake of the video. I could have just trimmed it all off with the clipper and then came back behind it with the trimmer, but I was just trying to show y'all the technique, so that's kind of why I left the hair right there. It was no other particular reason, just in case anybody was wondering, because I know it was kind of low backwards, but it's the gravy way. If I don't got gravy on it, I don't want it, right? And you're going to see me comb the hair again, because it's never a bad thing to comb the hair again. Coarse hair, curly hair, it's springy, it bounces back in place, so you gotta comb it thoroughly in order for it to stay where you want it, and you know, just to put it back into place. So that's why I'm combing it again, just to make sure, and I'm seeing the length in between the teeth of the comb. And now what you're about to see me do is grab a 2-guard to gauge what the length of the side of his hair is, to see what we're going to use to trim it down. So that's the 2-guard right there, and we're going to go, and you see it really isn't any hair between the teeth. I'm going to zoom in so y'all can see that it's really no hair in between the teeth, so that's not really going to take off much, and we need to take off some more. So you're going to put the 1.5 on, and you're going to open the lever up. So open it up. And then you're going to come down with the grain. You don't want to go against the grain. You could. That's another technique, but I'm going to go down with it. Just in the area that we're going to be fading. Because we already know that his top is a 2, because it wasn't that much hair in the 2. So it's about a 2, 2.5. So a 1.5 would be a good guard to bring down the sides. And as you see, I'm only targeting the area that I'm going to be blending. Please make sure that you're combing the debris out of your way, because you'll think that it's still hair there when it's not. So use that comb. The comb is your best friend. The comb is your best friend. It'll get the extra hair out. It'll show you what you need to reblend. And it's just good to keep that comb handy. Barber 1-on-1. The comb is your best friend. You're going to see me take it and close the clipper and come down with the grain just to make it even shorter. So we can go ahead and do that, close it, and then we're going to come down and attack the same exact area that we was cutting before, just so we prepare ourselves for the blend. This is just an easier way to do it instead of blending up. I call it the blend down, blend up, blend out technique. So that's what we're doing now, and it just makes it a lot easier so you don't have to fight the hair, especially when your client has coarse hair or shorter hair, and you don't have to really debulk a whole bunch because you know what the length of the top is. And just some food for thought when it comes to haircut, man. Listen, if you get lost, follow the steps. Recount your steps, and you'll be okay. Because I hear a lot of people telling me, oh, I was doing a good job and then I got lost. But if you're doing the steps correctly, you can look at the steps and then figure out where you left off. So now we're about to go in and make our first guideline with the clipper open. And I'm just showing y'all with my finger where we're going to be making it and how thick we're going to be making it. Just about. Can't really go off of my fingers because I got big hands, but that's about the width that we're going to make the first guideline. Remember, you're going to come and clipper open and you're going to make the first guideline. That's what you see me doing there. And we're just going to bring it around. Same length, same width, excuse me. And we're just going to bring it around. That's the first guideline. Then once you get the guideline set in there, you can come back and clean it up to make sure it's all the same length where you made that guideline. And as you see, I got the comb handy. I got it with me. I'm combing out the debris just so I won't mistake any hair that's still there for hair that I didn't cut. And I won't be fighting the hair. I'm just getting it out the way. You don't have to do it as many times as I do it. That's just my preferred technique. But after you put your guideline in, make sure you go back behind it with the comb. You have to. When you're cutting grass, it's the same principle. You go back in there and you get all the extra grass out the way. So now we're gonna go clipper almost closed. Clipper almost closed. So a little bit before close, and we're gonna take the first guideline out. We're gonna start taking the first guideline out. We're gonna blend that out. This is a technique that's good because we're blending out as we go up, so you won't forget. You won't forget because you're coming from the bottom to the top. Like I said, blend down, blend up, blend out. So that's what we're doing right there. It's going to get lighter, and then once we get it as light as possible, then we're going to close the clipper all the way and take the line all the way up. Since we're on the bottom line, you can go in with the corner 3 teeth, left or right, and you can do it in an X motion. So you go up one side, and you come the left, the other side, the right, the other side, using the corner of the clipper. So now you're going to see me close it all the way. And this is just for the bottom, guys. It's just for the bottom. just for certain parts. Please remember that. Now we're gonna put the one guard on. So as you see, it's a number 1. We're gonna close the 1, and we're gonna make our second guard line or our traveling line, whichever you want to call it. Is the line that we made the first line with the clipper open, and then we took that line out. So you're gonna see me make another guard line, same width. Remember that it's the same width. It's crucial that you keep your lines the same width, depending on what type of style you're going for. But the type of style you're going for is going to dictate how thick your width is between lines, if you understand what I'm saying, or how big of a difference it is between the guidelines. So you'll learn that over time, but if you're going for a high and tight, then your guidelines can be a lot bigger because you're taking off more hair to make the fade higher. But if you're going for a lower fade, you're going to make your guidelines a lot smaller so that you're blending in a smaller area to keep the fade low. So basically, with this being a regular fade, all my guidelines are pretty much going to be the same width going up. Now, since we're done with the 1, we're going to come with the 1.5 closed. I was trying to put it up to the camera so you guys can see, but there it is, a 1.5. And we're going to put that on closed. And we're going to make the next guideline. We're going to make the next line going up closed. Right above the line that we just made with the 1 closed, right there. Remember guys, the same width. We're doing it the same width. As you see, the fade is already blending out nicely. And mind you, my client has coarse hair. So I hear a lot of people complaining, oh, this coarse hair doesn't want to blend how I want it to blend. You control the blend, you control the clippers, you control the hair. So the comb is crucial because as you're cutting the hair, you're shaping it and putting it into place. Barbers are more like sculptors, so you're really sculpting the hair. But I'm open the clipper up with the 1.5, and I'm gonna target any dark areas that I didn't get in the initial process where I was going down with the 1.5. So I'm just going back in. You can always attack different parts of the steps. That's why I say, as long as you know the steps, you can tweak in between them. So I'm just doing what I was doing in the beginning of the video, just going back and hitting any dark spots I see now that I'm blending everything together. And I seen a couple dark spots, and I just was like, okay, well, I'm gonna blend them while I'm right here with this 1.5. So that's what you see me doing. I go back and I close it, and I go back to doing exactly what I was doing before, making that other line, and just blending it down. So I'm just blending it down and doing exactly what I did in the beginning. So it's just repetition and making sure that you know the steps. Knowing the steps is the most crucial part. You know them, you'll be good regardless. Even if you feel like you're not, you'll be good. And as you see, the blend is partially almost done. We just got a couple more steps that I'm going to show you what to do next. We're going to go in with the 1, and we're going to open the 1 up. We're going to open it up, and the line that I'm pointing to is the next line that we're going to take out. So I know you see it, it's like 3 lines left, but the line we're going to take out is the line above the bottom line. So as you see, I'm blending it out, but I'm combing to make sure I'm molding the hair in the way that I want it to lay. I'm shaping the hair. I'm laying the hair, I'm controlling the hair. Because if you don't comb it back down, the hair is just going to be standing up in whichever way that you pushed it up with the clippers. So as you cutting, comb, cut, comb, cut, comb. However many times that you come up with the clipper, in my opinion, that's how many times that you should be combing. Or you should be combing at least half of what you going up with the clipper. And now every guard makes it easier for the next. So now I'm gonna go down right below where I was with the 1.5 and just trim that down, because I know that what I was just trimming was a 1. So I'm just gonna go over top of it with a 1 open, which is the equivalent to a 1.5 close. So it's right underneath of it. But even though it's the equivalent, in my opinion, it still gets it a little bit closer. So now we're gonna go in and we're gonna take out the bottom line. We're gonna take out the bottom line. So that's what we're about to do now. And that is a half guard. I'm sorry about it being broken. Don't follow what I do on that behalf. It's just that I know how to use it, being as though it's broken. And for the sake of the video, I still used it just for you guys, because I could have did it without it, but it's just a safety parameter for you guys. So we're gonna go ahead and come in with the corners of the clippers, like I said, because the bottom line, majority of the time, is detailing. So you're taking out the line at the bottom, you can use the corner teeth, because you're not attacking a whole guideline or making a whole guideline. You're trying to take out the bottom line. As you see, I'm coming in certain areas using the corners, and some areas using more of the blade, but it just dictates, the hair dictates how much of the blade I use. So now I'm gonna come in with the clipper. What you just seen me do was take out the guard and readjust it. I was just showing y'all it's the same guard as the 1.5. I didn't change it, but I was already in the video, so I was like, I'm not gonna edit that out. And we're going back to attack the same line. So as you see, the line is lightening up. And this is the most easiest way that I can think of to do it without causing you stress or strife, because a lot of the times when you don't see the line coming out at all, you panic. Or when you think that it's supposed to just come out by you doing it one time, you panic. No, you lighten the line up. You lighten the line up until the line fades out. I like to call it blending into oblivion, or making the blend implode on itself. But in order for you to do that, you have to set the blend up the way that it will come out. Don't go in with a hard line. Again, I say, do not go in with a hard line. You will have a hell of a time trying to get it out. So now we're gonna get this very thin line out. I don't know if you guys can see it. You probably can. We're gonna go to get this very thin line out. I'm just playing with the lever to show you. But we're gonna go clipper almost close. So like midway close. And we're gonna just go in and lighten it up some more. Lighten it up some more. So we're using the corner teeth. That's what I'm showing you. The 3 corner teeth, 2 corner teeth. However, we're just using a couple of the teeth in the corner. And you see how I'm going in at an angle? I'm going in at an angle. Because if you look at the grain of his hair, it's growing at an angle. So I'm going in the same direction, just against the way of the hair. So if the hair is growing to the left, I'm going to the right, but at the same angle that the hair is growing, in order for me to get the line out. As you see, I'm using the corner, and I'm just going in, and I'm getting wherever I see any darkness. And now we're going to close the clip up all the way. And we're just going to get the thin hairs that we see left. Because a lot of people would say, oh, this fade is finished, just go ahead and get them out the chair. No, I like a nice blend where you can't see where it started or you can't see where it finished. That's how I like my fade. That's how I like my blends. So you call me a perfectionist if you want, but I still see little hairs that can be blended out. But all for the sake of time, remember that do what your capabilities allow you to. This fade didn't take me long, and it usually doesn't. I just slowed it down for the process of the video. But I do all my techniques within a reasonable time because I know what I'm looking for. And the main thing is train your barber eye. But what I'm telling you right now is open up the clipper, and then I'm coming down on the hairs just to lay them down even more. So that way the blend is even better. So, you know, I know what that length is right there because we went over it. So the clipper open is what I just did, is the equivalent to the one guard on the clipper closed is an OA. So it's the same thing. So now we're gonna go up with the clipper open and get anything in between there that's still dark. So that's what you see me doing. If you look closely, I'm going in the areas that's still somewhat a little dark, and I'm just getting the hair and lightening it up. Remember, you see me still going at the same angle in which the hair grows. And now I'm just holding the clippers in a different way just to make it easier, because I'm just lightly going in. So I'm using them like a pencil in a sense and just getting at the dark spots that I see. Using just really the tip of the clip at this point, and it's all detail work. I'm just detailing the blend to make the blend just, look better. And over time, your barber eye will increase. Before you do anything on the blend, you need to start increasing your barber eye to see what's there that you're not getting. Because a lot of the times, you're thinking that your fading is not good, but it's not your fading, it's your barber eye. Your barber eye is the most important attribute as a barber. You need it in order to see the things that make the difference between you being a barber and being a client. Because a lot of clients can tell how they want their haircut, but they can't physically tell you out their mouth how to do it. They just know how they like it to look. So that's where you come into play. You come into play with telling them, this is what you want, this is how you want it, and explaining it to them. But right there, you just seen me close the clip a little bit. And like I said, I'm just going in between steps. Wherever I see that I missed anything in between any of the steps, I'm just going in and I'm redoing it if I see anything in between. So after you get the overall fade finish, you can go back in there and tweak it. So it's just like a bike. If a bolt is loose after the whole bike is put together, just tighten the bolt. It's the same exact principle. I'm just tightening up areas that I missed in between to make the overall blend look supreme. And as you see, for the most part, the blend is done. But I still see where I could blend it more. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to blend it a little bit more and show y'all. I'm going to try to zoom in to show y'all just the fine hairs and the fine details that can increase your blend from mediocre to excellent, in my opinion. So this is how the blend looks currently, and it looks pretty good. So I'm going to zoom in and show y'all. I don't know if y'all can see because of my camera quality, but it's still hairs down there that could be blended. And that spot where my client has white is from his dry scalp. So it's actually blended all the same, but be in that area is dry scalp. So you're gonna see me go in with the trimmer and just really use the tip just to blend in any little imperfections that I see. Just so when I go to shape my client up, you really can't see where the blend started. I call it a blurry blend, kind of like a blizzard. When you go outside, you really can't see anything. I want the same thing when it comes to my blend. I don't want you to be able to see where I started, because if you did, it's not finished. But in that area where I'm combing, right there, my client suffered from dry scalp. So that's why you see that white, that white patch right there. But other than that, the whole blend is always consistent. So I'm just attacking little fine hairs, man. It's just a technique you can add to your repertoire to increase, the consistency and, the overall blend of the fade to look better. Take your time to detail it at the end. Once you get the overall cut finish, go back in and detail. Go back in and detail. It won't hurt. It'll always help. So if you look and you see all the way down to the scalp, it's blended. It's blended. I always used to say in the shop, blend it down to the brain past the membrane. That's how we like it, man, all the way down. So as you see, now that blend is a blend that I like. That's how I like my blends, all the way at the bottom, everything blended, all the way at the top, and it's looking good. Comb through your blend just to make sure that you didn't miss anything and get any extra hair out there that's still hiding in the crevices of the hair that's blended. So you won't mistake that for any hair that you need to go in and cut down or anything. So as you see, the blend is good. And now I just did a time lapse to show y'all that I did the other side, just like I did this side over there. Just something for y'all so y'all can see, I'm doing the same steps, it's just sped up. And I'm gonna take this time just to give, some barbers advice, man. Listen, I've been cutting hair for 14 years. I've been cutting hair since I was 12 years old, man. Listen, I done seen the game change from where it was a point where enhancements was frowned upon to now enhancements is almost required, man. So, it's all up to how you like it. If your clients like enhancements, give them enhancements. If they don't. But overall, you want to be a good barber. So even if you can't use enhancements, you can still give a good cut. But right here, this device that I'm using is called a razor comb. The specific one that I have, a lot of people don't have it, and mine's have numbers on it. So that's what you're seeing me adjust the number to set how close the blade is to the actual teeth. And what I'm using it for is to trim down the extra hairs on the hairline, which some people just use the trimmers or the clipper to graze over the top of the hair to trim it down, or they put a one guard on. But I feel like this is easier because this device is already set up for it, and it won't cut past the desired amount once you set it. And it's just a razor in between a comb with a notch that goes from 1 to 5. And you can play with it in between depending on how close you want to get it. I also use it for waves to get any stray hairs, and I use it for the mustache just to trim that down a little bit too. It's just, just good to get extra hairs out the way, and you just replace it with razors.
Rock bottle on the track, boy.
Down to where you want it, you're going to come in with the L'Oreal holding spray. So you can use whatever holding spray you want. In my opinion, I would never use Got2b glue. It's too heavy, and but you're going to hold the holding spray back a couple of inches from his head and just spray a nice coat. Doesn't have to be too thick, just enough to lay down the hair because it dries quick, and you don't want to cake it up and make your clippers have a hard time trying to fight against, the holding spray. So I brush it down just to put all the hairs in place and lay it down. Some people just spray it. I brush it so when I spray it, I'm getting the full use out of it by laying the hair down with the brush. That's why I do it like that. Now we're gonna line his head up to where, everything's even, comb it out, and we're gonna start in the center of the hairline. Always start at the center so you have a guide place to come from. Because if you start in the center, you can go to left, to right, but the center point is where you want your hairline to start, just so you have a nice place to start from. Because if you start from either side, it could be crooked. So start from the middle. That's where you see me showing you. Start from the middle and then you can go either side, left or right. And there's many ways to do a shape up. You can go in with the kind of nip technique where you're, nipping at the hairline, or you can go in with long, clean strokes. It's just many different techniques, whichever you prefer. Don't allow anybody to discourage you and tell you that this is the right way, that's the right way. Figure out your way. The whole reason of me making a YouTube video is to allow everybody to see my technique, take from my techniques, and be able to create your own. Because I believe in, you can't teach a person how to cut hair. You can only show them the way that you cut hair and you've learned, so then that way they can build their own way that they cut hair. And and just go over the hairline to make sure you get the extra hairs, but do it with a light touch because you don't want to irritate your client by going over their skin too many times, and it will cause abrasions and you'll leave lines. So just make sure that you're going over it, but you're light in your touch. Because if your clipper's sharp, you don't have to be heavy-handed. You will cut your client, and it's just not good. So, and when you're going in to do the sidebar, I'm sorry about y'all not being able to see that side. You want to make sure that when you're bringing the line across, the reason why you start in the middle is to bring the line across so you can meet the line coming up on the side. It just makes it easier because ultimately you're just making a box. If you can draw a box on paper and practice that, then you can do a shape up with the clippers because you're just meeting lines to make an acute corner. You're going to make a nice corner that's sharp, and that's basically what you're doing. So you meet it coming across, and then you take it up from the side to meet that line. You're just connecting two lines, trying to make it as perfect as possible, but perfect doesn't exist, so it's close to it that you can get it. Remember, it's always a good thing when your clients fall asleep and then they had to wake up like, oh snap, I'm getting my hair cut. That just means that you have them in a relaxing environment and they're comfortable where they're at. So that's always a good thing, man. Don't get mad at your clients for falling asleep, man. You're doing a good thing. You nudge them a little bit to get them back, where you need them. But a haircut is, majority of times people's time that they can relax because they're working all the time, whatever case may be. When they come in the shop, they come in there for the piece or they come in there for the conversation, but they're coming there for more than a haircut. They're coming there for you, your personality, what you supply them. So just make sure that you're understanding that you're giving your client a lot more than a haircut. And quality, top-notch service is always a good attribute to have as a barber. Not just a good haircut, because a good haircut will only get you so far. You can be a wonderful, exceptional, immaculate barber, but still have poor customer service and lose a lot of customers for it. So, yeah. But you're going to see me come back in and do the enhancements. So that's what we're about to do. And I'm going to use a comb. You can use a card or a specific design thing for the enhancements. I just use the tip of the comb and it lays in perfectly fine with me. Just in case you don't have your specific card or anything that you use for the enhancements, you can use a comb. That's just what I'm showing you. So that way, if you're ever in a bind, you can use it. It lays in a good line, and as you can see, the shape up on that side looks good to me. So, I like to use light enhancements. I don't like to make it really heavy. I just like to enhance the line a little bit, and depending on, what I'm going for will depend on how much enhancements that I use. And my client is growing his beard, so he really didn't want me to shape it up super sharp. He just wanted a thin line around, kind of like a ghost line. So I didn't really dig into it or make it super sharp. I just kind of left it where it was and just cleaned him up because he just wanted it clean and groomed. He just wanted a groomed look when it comes to his actual facial hair because, he's growing it. So you won't really see me go into the bed and, give him like a super crisp lineup. I'm just going to line it up to make it look decent because that's what he asked for. He didn't really want it, super crispy. Doesn't matter how you want the cut, it matters how your client wants the cut. So supply them and give them what they need. They're paying you for a service. Even if you think something looks better, you can offer your opinion and it can be heard. But if it isn't chosen, it's not the end of the world. Do what your client wants. Don't go against that because your client is paying for the service. You're here to cut the hair and give them advice on, tips about the hair, but ultimately it's their choice. So allow them to choose. Don't make them feel like even if they want something else, you're not going to give it to them. The customer is always right to an extent. Also going to be putting 2 slits in his eyebrow. He had did it previous to him coming to me, but I just put him back in and, tightened him back up. So, he already had him in there. I'm just tightening him up, that's all. And shaving around the eyebrow to really make the slits that I put in there pop. So, if you get the extra hair around or the debris, or any little extra hairs around the eyebrow, it'll really make the cut show. So that's what you see me doing underneath and over top. And the same thing that we did on that side, we're going to do on this side. And we're going to come from the middle and come across. That way we know that the line is congruent and it's parallel with the other line. That's what we're going to do. So just make sure that you follow from the middle. And right there with the comb, I just seen some extra hairs that I missed. So I pulled down the comb and used it as a guard to get the extra hairs to make the line really pop and make it crispy. So as you see, I'm going left, right, just to get all the hairs and lay it in place, but still applying enough pressure, but not too much to cut my client. You see me meeting the line that I already made at the top. You see me nibbing at the sideline to meet it. Consistency in barbering is number one. So if you remain to do the same techniques and you're consistent, your skill will automatically improve. At the level that you're doing it depends on how quickly you improve, but consistency is always a proven factor in improvement. So if you're consistent with your techniques, you will eventually get better. So just keep doing the same things over and over again. Repetition in barbering is a really big thing. You have to repeat the techniques and the skills over and over again until you get them. And even when you get them, sometimes if you don't repeat the techniques or you don't cut enough hair, you'll start to lack. So just make sure you stay on your game. Just like basketball, you warm up, then take a couple shots to make sure your jumper's on point. And then, you get in the game and you win the game. That's how you got to look at barbering. It's the same exact thing. And as you see, his shape up is looking exactly like how we want it. And we're just going to go in and tighten up anything that we see that we need to adjust. Same thing we done on the other side, we're gonna do on this side. Light enhancements, keep it looking more natural, but still creating a depth and a darkness to really make it pop. That's how I like mine. You can spray more. It just depends on what your client likes and how you cut and what you think that it looks like. So I put a little bit, it goes a long way for me. And as always, It's the gravy way, all day, every day. You know what's going on. Like Rod Wave said, man, rags the riches, and that's what we did, man. And it looks pretty good, you know, like overall. So this is the finished product, how it looks, blend for blend. We did it step by step, and as you see, it's blended from the bottom all the way up, both sides we did symmetrical. It's a good fade to me, and I like how it turned out. And I'm just going to zoom in just so you can really see from the bottom to the top. We blended it, and we made sure we got every fiber and every hair and put it in place. And I really like how it turned out, man. Let me know in the comments what you think. And I appreciate all the support, man. Like, follow, subscribe. I'm trying to get my subscribers up, man. So yeah, man, I appreciate all the support, man, on the gravy way.